Lovely. Hello and welcome back to the Music Career Show. So my guest today she's actually the first drummer I have had on in a good long while, and far too long. I think Rob Brown was the last drummer I had on, and that was months ago. So I need to need to start myself out and get some more drummers on. So if you're a drummer, give me a shout. Anyway, so back to today's guest. So she describes herself as a drummer, a singer, an educator, and content creator with a talent for making the process of learning drums as accessible and entertaining as possible, which I always think is the most important thing in teaching anybody to do anything is to make it accessible to them and fun. So I'm looking forward to this one. So this is Emma Taylor. Good morning, Emma.
Hello.
How
How's
are
it
you
going?
doing? Are you well?
I'm good. I'm very good.
Whereabouts are you in the world?
I'm in the south of England, in Reading.
In Reading, all
Sunny.
right.
Is it sunny? Cloudy, Reading.
Oh, oh well, hey ho. Yeah. I'm in Aberdeen, and it's cold. So
Yeah, perpetually
yeah,
cloudy, just always
perpetually
cloudy.
cloudy. Yeah, we do get the odd bit of summer. So we do get 2 or 3 days of summer a year, and we're doing well
Hmm.
to get that. And I always feel so hard done by because I get absolutely riddled with hay fever in Aberdeen.
Oh,
And it's like
yeah.
it's so unfair because like usually you kind of take the hay fever because it's summer, but you're like, nah,
Hmm.
I don't even get
Hmm.
fucking summer here, and I'm riddled with it anyway. Anyway, enough about my woes. For the listener or viewer or whoever that maybe getting introduced to you for the first time, Emma, why don't you
Hmm.
say hello to them, introduce yourself, tell them what it is that you do?
Hello. As you already know, my name is Emma. I'm also known as Sounds Like Emma on multiple social media platforms at this point. But I started out on TikTok just posting short, simple drum tutorials, and it seems to have done quite well. So it's ongoing, and I'm still doing the same thing. But also, I do all the regular musician things. So gigging, function gigs, working in bands, all that good stuff as well.
Lovely. Well, you seem to be doing something right. 400 and odd thousand people can't be wrong.
It's not bad, is it? It's pretty good.
Like do you know what? It's like I'd be doing well to have 400. Do you know what I mean? So you're doing great.
Mhm.
But we're going to get into all of that good stuff.
Mhm.
But before that, let's reverse back a little bit and ask, where did music start for you?
So I'm actually family is not musical at
Mhm.
all, which means
Right.
I'm the black sheep in that regard.
Yeah.
And I started playing drum. Well, actually, the first memory I have, a couple memories, is we had those kiddie microphones. It's not one of those echoey ones. It's just it had like a
Alright.
full stand, had a little pedal at the bottom, had something cool going on.
Class.
It was amazing. Distinctly remember like scream singing "Blondie's Call Me" into that as a like 3-year-old, even though I didn't know the words. It was just blap, like didn't
Yeah,
understand it at
yeah,
all. So there was that, and I remember performing in front of my parents with a guitar with a friend of mine when I was equally very young. So,
yeah.
and they don't remember it, but I do, which probably says a lot about how important music kind of was from the get go.
Yeah.
But the most important kind of thing, drums, kind of came up when I was, I think, about 5 or 6. My grandparents bought a little toy drum kit, so one of those really rubbishy, just not really a drum kit, but you
Yeah,
could pretend. Um, and they had that at their house, and every time I was there, I would just play it
yeah,
incessantly. And my mum has a distinct memory of hearing, just listening kind of subconsciously and going, "That doesn't sound that bad, you know, this actually sounds like something. It's not
yeah,
just smacking some drums."
yeah.
Um, and so from there, I was quite enthusiastic about having lessons and stuff like that. So about, again, 5 or 6, I can't remember very well because I was only 5 or 6, but
Yeah,
we went and I took a drum lesson, and there were a number of issues. First of all, I couldn't reach the pedals because I was
yeah,
tiny. Um, and I wasn't engaged mentally enough to take instruction and kind of understand what was being said to me. But I
yeah,
personally, now in hindsight, having now taught quite a fair bit, I'm like, you know what? That might just be the teacher wasn't willing to teach me, and didn't know how to deal with a young
yeah.
child like that. And it's tricky. But I
It is
could have
tricky.
started lessons earlier, is my opinion. But alas, we're still in the right place. But
Yeah,
so I waited a couple years, and when I was about 8 or 9, I started actually doing lessons. Did lessons until I was about 18. Worked through all the grades, got to grade 8.
yeah,
All the while, I was very fortunate where I was getting my lessons because it was a kind of music school. You know, those things that set up in real schools at the weekend and do
yeah,
all sorts of lessons. all different instruments doing different things in different rooms. And there was a main hall where we'd all come together, and there were different bands. And I seemed to be the only drummer who was available. So I ended up being in a jazz band,
Class.
orchestra, rock band, all that stuff. And so it set me up perfectly on top
Yeah.
of grades to just kind of give me this foundation of musicianship, which I'm very fortunate to have. And it also helped me discover I really didn't want to be an orchestral percussionist slash drummer in that regard, because
Yeah.
I distinctly remember seeing a sheet of paper with 56 bars rest on it. And I went, you know what?
What's the point?
I'm not here for this. That's
Oh,
in that moment decided not the one. And then jazz was similar, but that's only because I didn't understand what comping was. I was just given this book, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm just going to hold a ding, ding, to ding, ding, to ding while they
yeah.
start and stop for an hour, and I get very bored. So I was a bit young for that too. But again, it was great exposure to all sorts of different music. The
Yeah.
rock band really helped me as well, because apart from learning all the function kind of basics, which has served me so well, and working in bands and stuff like that,
Yeah.
it was also the first time after years of doing it, I ended up singing a little bit, which for some reason it took me so long to get confidence in my voice. I was about 14 at this point when I
Mm.
actually sung a song while playing drums at the same time, and it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like I was terrified, and it's only kind of got in the last few years where I'm actually like, yes, I can sing. This is good. Cool. I have confidence in this. I'll call myself a singer. And
Yeah.
it's amazing how long that journey has taken in and of itself. But anyway, so finished grade 8, did all that. I went to music uni, ACM. I don't know if you've heard of ACM.
Can't
It's
say I have
one of
now.
it's like a BIM equivalent. If
Oh yeah.
musicians are listening, you probably heard of it anyway. But
Yeah.
so I went there, did the diploma, a shortened diploma, and then a shortened degree. So I
Oh yeah.
ended up actually getting out of uni with a degree at 19, which is kind of
Wow.
balmy.
Yeah.
Um, so and I think there were positives and negatives to that. You can kind of um so I just felt very young when I was there the whole
Yeah.
time. I didn't I only realized how terrified and anxious I was now in hindsight, because
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this isn't normal." This level
Yeah.
of being absolutely terrified and not wanting to do things, and, isn't actually the norm. What do you mean?
Yeah.
And so I think there are a number of opportunities that if I were older and if I were there now, for example, I'd smash it.
Mm.
And actually, technically, there was never an issue, because I think, did I get a 2-1? Whatever. Like, in terms of the actual practical side of doing a degree, I was fine.
Yeah.
Um, and the playing side of it, again, completely fine. But the social, mental development side of it wasn't quite there yet. But funnily enough, in the years after that, all the people I looked up to at ACM and was like, I'd love to be friends with that person and was too scared to, or, like
Yeah. Yeah.
all the contacts I thought I missed out on have actually come back round to me in weird and wonderful ways. So it's all panned out very nicely, really. But once I got out of ACM, I kind of was trained into this subconsciously trained into the like, I'm going to be a session musician now. That's what I do, because that's
Yep.
a lot of ACM is geared towards that. And I don't think they actually never really went into the benefit of social media in any great depth, and especially how important social media is now. There wasn't
Yeah.
really any conversation about that. There was maybe a couple lectures, but it never stood out to me. And
Yeah.
so I kind of stuck around for a couple of years. I was working in a cafe and not very happy doing it, and working in bands with people I met at ACM and all that good stuff. There was stuff happening. I did some theatre Amdram stuff in pits, and
Yeah.
I also realized I didn't really want to do that.
Yeah.
Um, but it wasn't until I met Chris Keeling through weird and wonderful ways. Again, it's all like this person knew this person who knew this person, and it was just a magical kind of coming together at the right time.
Hmm.
Like, for example, if I hadn't have worked at the cafe, I wouldn't have met someone who had also gone to a music charity that I used to go to that did a workshop. I went to the workshop, they hired me on the spot to
Yeah.
teach the workshop. And the person there, Louis, knew Chris, and he was just mentioned him to him, and bam, there it was. So
There
Chris
we go.
Chris Keeling basically had his own music academy kind of thing, and had done successful in-person music academy stuff for a long time, but
Yeah.
he was just about to move into online and focus on online music education, because it means
Yeah.
obviously you can teach all over the world, doesn't matter what time. It
Yeah.
just it just makes it accessible for everybody, and that's his goal. And so originally I was brought on board as just an online teacher because I just wanted some teaching hours and I wanted to be able to do it from home,
Yes.
as a lot of us probably do.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he said we could get online students was to just get build some online presence, because people can then look at you and, have a build a bit of trust with you.
Yeah.
And as you can probably tell, it's got a bit out of hand, really. It's um so yeah, now the kind of focus of a lot of it is ended up towards me, because it's just done so well. And we're hoping to kind of build this out into not just me, having a membership and building a community, but having it be multiple different disciplines of successful teachers who do online education and kind of coming together and having its own thing. So he's got the big vision, and
Yeah.
I'm just a significant part of that, basically. And
Right.
so I think we're up to date. I don't think I've ever put my life so succinctly like that before.
I know. You've given me like well, however many years worth of stuff to
Yeah.
picture. That's absolutely class. That's absolutely fantastic. You
Yeah.
you you mentioned a thing there that I actually took a note of. A foundation of musicianship, and I think that
Mm,
is fabulous. It's putting it fabulously, because that kind of music education that you were speaking about, playing in bands and stuff, that's exactly what I do. That's exactly
yeah.
100% what I
Mhm.
do.
I personally, when it comes to actual teaching, I prefer one-to-one because you can really get to the nitty-gritty, but I've also done band workshops, and there are huge, completely different benefits to doing that. And so, yeah, it's really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
It is, yeah. Well, I done one to one for years, and I
Mhm.
found that sometimes if you've got a younger kid and they're struggling to get something, frustration kicks in, and frustration just completely puts the
Yeah.
kibosh on everything.
Mhm.
Whereas if you have two others, I only teach in groups of three because like I'm only in a little shed,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
um. But I found that three is like sort of the magic number, because
Mhm.
you can still really get that nitty gritty one to one support
Yeah,
that you
100%.
need, while still gaining that foundation in musicianship. I
Mhm.
love that. That's
That's really
fabulous.
cool.
That's
That's a
going on my
great
website.
layout as well. Like, 3 is a perfect band as well
I think
because
it's
you've got
yeah,
everything.
exactly. Yeah. So
Awesome.
some kids are learning a band, some kids that are just learning drums. We've got
Mhm.
a drum group class and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And yeah, so
That's great.
you've hit the nail on the head there now. I
Mhm.
love that.
Yeah.
You said you went and you done your grades the whole way up through grade 8. What
Yes.
syllabus did you follow?
I
Can you
did
remember?
Trinity.
You did Trinity. Okay.
Yes, and I do wonder how I would have turned out different had I done rock and pop, for example, because it did definitely give me a foundation. Again, back to that foundational level of musicianship. It just gave me so much more that I could blag.
Yeah.
And drums to
100%.
me is the blagging instrument. You're making it up basically the whole time. So it's like it just gave me like a grounding in, like, I think grade 1 or 2 was like a cha-cha, for example, and Latin and some jazz stuff and like
Yeah.
just a bit of everything. Um and it doesn't do too much rock and pop, and it gives you funky stuff. It's like really good. So I feel it's really beneficial to do that syllabus.
Yeah.
I don't know about now. I think now I'm teaching it, I can see the benefit of doing either. Depends on
Yeah.
what the kids wanna do. But in terms of if you've got someone who's really serious about music on your hands and you can tell,
Yeah.
Trinity's a really good one.
Yeah. That was so funny you said about blagging, because I always have kids come in with like guitarists will come in and they'll be like, oh, and they'll struggle with like when they get to the F chord. Obviously, everyone struggles at the F chord,
Everybody,
but
yeah.
like they'll often say it's like, oh, I wish I'd started drums now. Drums is so easy, and I'm like, well, no, it's not. They were like, yeah, but it is, isn't it? And I was like, well, no, it's not. You can
Mhm.
just within 2 minutes of sitting down at a drum kit, you can
Yes.
play something that resembles a
Yes, yeah.
4/4 beat.
Mhm,
Probably
mhm.
quicker than you could play than
Yeah.
you could get to the same level at guitar. But I was like, sit
Mhm.
down at the drum, and I'd be like, sit down there and see how you get on. I'm like, right, okay, grand. And then they're just like whack, 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 and they're like, no, that's not it. Put your foot in the hi hat, the what? And then put your other foot on the kick, and then get your hands and cross them. But like, why would I not do
Mhm,
it like this? That's stupid. And
mhm.
then you're like,
Yep.
it's not that fucking easy now, is it?
Well, I think, yeah, the barrier to entry for drums is
There you
so
go.
much lower
Yeah,
than other instruments. But then as soon as you start to fine tune any of that, that instantly evaporates.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
straight.
Yeah.
But I think I benefit hugely from the fact that it is such a low barrier to entry because I can just go, do this. And in 20 seconds, people can play a drum beat, especially if they've got some level of coordination.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it has played into my hands now that I think about it. It's
And there you
really,
go.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Haven't thought
Happy
about
out. It is interesting, isn't it?
it.
How was so ACM? That must stand for something, unless that's like
Yes,
some really weird
the
word.
Academy of Contemporary Music. Sounds fancy. I won't talk rubbish about them, but it is above a Spoons. I can't lie. It's above a Wetherspoons in Guildford. it's, it's the Academy of Contemporary Music with a Spoons underneath.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
They have different campuses now. They have London and I think somewhere up north. I can't remember now, but yeah, that
You,
always just makes me laugh.
you
It's
know full well the fella that started that was just one of these lads that he'd gotten to the very end of his dole money, spending it on a £1 pint in spoons, and be like,
yeah,
"Fuck, what am I gonna do now?
yeah,
Suppose I'll teach people how to play music."
mhm,
What?
yeah,
And then whatever
yep.
the equivalent of Chat GPT was 20 years ago, just put that in and give me the fanciest fucking name
Mhm,
I can get.
yeah,
And here,
yeah.
John, have you got that room upstairs spare? Grand, that'll do.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge Spoons, in all fairness. The one in Guildford is absolutely massive. And I think
Ah,
it
but
used to
they
be a
all are.
factory.
They
Yeah.
all are.
They
There's
are. I
like,
went to one that was a theatre the other day up somewhere, near Mersey kind of area. And I was like,
yeah,
"What?
I don't
Insane."
understand because any Weatherspoons you go to anywhere in the like, well, yeah, well, anywhere is like the most fancy, highfalutin, elaborate old
Mhm,
like buildings and stuff.
mhm. That might tell you a little bit about how much money they're making,
I
probably.
suppose
At the
actually,
same
yeah,
time,
yeah.
it still means that those nice buildings don't get knocked down, so it's swings and
Yeah.
roundabouts, you
Ah,
know?
listen. I have nothing against Weatherspoons. Everyone needs a Weatherspoons.
Everybody
You
needs
know
a
what I mean?
Spoons. Yeah.
It's there's
Mhm.
the it's
I live and breathe by the Spoons app. I just
that was a thing in Ireland. That came there was a pub. They opened up their first one in Ireland about 5 years ago, and this was the first time. Like I've not lived in Ireland for nearly 10 years, but as
Mhm,
far as I know, it's the first time that that sort of a thing was available, right? Where it was just cheap as ant and you had an app. So there was
mhm.
people going on nights out that had like 20 cent in their pocket and just been like, here, we're sitting at this table. Send us the most random
Yeah.
thing. And
Yep.
that was sort of
It's
trend for
always a
ages.
bowl of peas. It's always peas.
Yeah. Or if people want, yeah, a bowl of peas, or like if people want, like there was mates of mine that were like getting sent the most like dangerous shots and stuff like this, and it was just the
Mhm.
most eclectic. Like even if you were out for a
Yeah.
night and you'd get like Pernod instead of a pint. Like if you were
Mhm.
drinking pints of Guinness, you wouldn't get a pint of Guinness. You get everything but you get
Mhm.
Pernod, or you get like Fireball and Tabasco and all
Yep.
this kind of mental shit.
Fireball and a Guinness, that'll go down well.
Oh, good Lord, mother of Jesus. Anyway, I'm getting hungover even just thinking about that. But anyway,
Yeah.
but I don't know how have we gotten talking about oh yeah, because
Oh, yeah.
you went to school in Weatherspoons, didn't you?
Practically, yes. The amount of time I
Practically,
spent in that Spoons. Yes.
I would
That and
imagine.
meal deals sustained me for 3 years.
100%. But that is genius. Do you know what? That is
It is.
absolutely genius. Like, how do you boost your midweek drinking numbers? Put a load of musicians above you. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Grant. That is
Yes.
genius. That was intentional.
Genius.
So it was. That was your man. Your man that owns Weatherspoon started that. Nobody else. But so what was your education at ACM like? What did you actually go in to do for starters?
So it was the drumming, well, it's performance course. So we had all the disciplines: guitar, bass, keys, little bit of keys. There weren't that many keys players, and there were about a
Mm,
handful of bassists, but alas, they existed. High demand and drums and
mhm.
vocals. So it's contemporary academy, contemporary music. So
Yes.
it wasn't like your Berkeley where everyone's doing jazz and like it's just blowing your mind every time you see
Yeah.
people playing. Um, Especially on the diploma course, I don't want to sit and poo-poo ACM. I'll just give my honest opinion and my take on it. First of all, the positives. The
Yes.
positives were, for me as a musician, it polished a lot of stuff and buffed a lot of stuff out that really took me from just a drummer who could play grade A and had some band experience to being able to do this professionally and kind of know what I'm doing and that kind of thing. So it
Yeah. Yeah.
did what it was supposed to do, which is
Grant.
great.
Yeah.
And in terms of the academic side, it is as minimal as it can be. There's still quite a fair bit of writing, and there is a fair element of importance placed upon it, even though it's about performance. So That's kind of up
Mm.
in the air, especially if you're not very academic as a person, but you're a crack musician, then
Yeah.
it's like that doesn't make any sense. But anyway, a lot of people actually, I have one of my friends of mine who I went on tour with recently, Sam Tookie, absolute beast on bass.
Right.
He went to ACM, amazing player, failed the degree
Oh, no way.
because he didn't do. I think he was going through some stuff anyway, but he was doing it was the dissertation that tripped a lot of people up. And that's crazy to me that you can't get a degree in music even though you are a fantastic player. Like, it's
Yeah.
the fact that the emphasis isn't on that, but that's a bigger debate.
Yeah.
ACM itself, I benefited hugely just because it rounded me out as a musician, and I met so many people, and like I said earlier, I think I would have met more people and made more of an impression had I been in a better state myself. But that's nothing to do with ACM in and of
Yeah.
itself. What always made me laugh, I say laugh, diploma was an interesting affair, is all I'm going to say. So diploma was for basically college for kids just out of secondary school. I left school and didn't do A levels. I went straight from GCSEs to this because I just knew.
Yeah.
I just knew.
Yeah.
And when I got there, actually, for someone I became friends with, it made me question a lot because I knew a bass player on that course who'd only been playing bass 5 months, and that made me question a lot about
Oh, okay.
ACM because I was like, "Who you're letting what was going on?" Anyway, so diploma was a lot more interesting because you had a lot more different levels of ability and stuff like that. It was a bit more wiggle room.
Yeah.
Once we got to degree, the standard did definitely go up. Um, but yeah, it definitely made me question some stuff. They ended up going on the business course and kind of finding their thing. So maybe that's a reason
Yeah.
why that exists. But
By any chance is ACM a private school? A private
what makes you ask that?
well,
I think yes,
or
and
is
it's
there an
part of the Uni of
option
Surrey. I
to
think.
do it private?
No, I think it is private if I remember
Yeah, there
rightly.
you
I
go.
can't remember now. It feels like it's
Yeah.
been so long. I don't know, but yes, I enjoyed a lot of elements about ACM. Um,
Yeah.
and it was a lot to do with what was going on in my own head that
Yeah.
held me back or made me feel not great about stuff. But in terms of the tutors and stuff like that, a lot of them were just out of this world. Like people like Pete Riley, Toby Drummond, drum tutors there at ACM who have been there since the dawn of time.
Mm.
Um, and they are just so full of knowledge. Like everything I do in these videos is basically pinched either from the syllabus that we went through or stuff I picked up because of them and going through hacks and little bits and bobs.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just basically take them and go either for sometimes just straight out because they're that good exercise wise, or they're changed and adapted in some way just as I've done them over time. So I owe a lot actually to the fact that I went to ACM and I met everybody that I know now musically for it.
Oh, there you go.
So huge benefits there.
Good stuff. Very good. And so you came out of that with a degree in music performance?
I always get this wrong because I always forget what my degree is actually in. I think it's a Bachelor of Arts in music performance or music industry studies. I've forgotten which one, specializing in drums. Some kind of arty farty
Specializing in
name
drums.
that basically says you
Yeah.
can play drums and also write a big essay. Well done.
Well
Um,
done. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Very good. Fair enough. Yeah. No, I was kind of similar to you in that I finished college in Ireland. College and university are one and the same. And like you, for Ireland, A levels are called the leaving cert, but you don't really have an option to do it or not. You just sort of have to
Mhm.
do it. But I did
Yeah.
absolutely nothing. I did nothing for it because I knew full well that I was going to do sound engineering. And the reason I
Right.
knew I was going to do sound engineering was because that was private. And I got an
Was it?
interview, and I got about 6 months before I was to do my last year or my final exams. I was told you were in. So I was like, so I don't need me leaving cert. They're like, no, in you come. And I was like, right, fuck it. I'm fucked if I'm doing any more of that. So I literally
Yeah.
just played guitar all day, every day, and it was great.
Well, yeah,
But
exactly.
again, at that stage, I finished college when I was 19 as well.
Uh-huh.
And I know everybody, well, not everybody, but it's just funny the way you said the kind of the chain reaction of you meeting this person and then going and doing a webinar or a seminar and all
Yeah.
this kind of crack. And I'm exactly the same. Like there's so many guests on the podcast that have been the very first one was one of my best mates from college, and then the second one was a guy that I met when I was in Salou, and when I was in Spain. I used to live in Spain,
Yeah.
playing in Irish pubs, and I wouldn't have met him if I'd not gone to college. And then I had another guy on, and it's
Yeah, it's
it
100%.
is it's
I meet ACM people everywhere,
yeah,
literally everywhere,
it's
especially
so
in the
funny
south
that.
of England.
Well, and there you go, yeah, because there's this whole diaspora of
Hmm.
musicians that are all like, for example, Irish musicians, right? You would think that there's millions upon millions of Irish musicians
No.
out there in the world. There's probably, I'd say, about 100 of us
Yeah.
that are just in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
And we all know each other. Or it's not that we all know each
Mhm.
other, but we're all
Mhm.
connected. Because
Yeah.
I would see, like, I'd go, let's take an example. If I went to Timbuktu, right? And there was an Irish pub there, Paddy Riley's Irish pub in Timbuktu, and Johnny was playing there. If I went and looked up Johnny on Facebook, I'd have 5, 6 mutual friends with him.
Yep.
Having
Yep.
never come across the whole of my
Yep.
life.
Yep.
And I'm sure it's exactly the same for you. I'm sure it's
Yep.
exactly the same for you. It's
Yep.
just we're all this one big diaspora, one big global
Well, it's
community,
brilliant,
and
isn't it?
it's
Like I
so
literally have
nice.
I've just done a video shoot for some educational videos that are hopefully going into primary schools, which is so exciting because
Mm.
I've actually wanted to do videos for younger kids for ages, and it's kind of a proof of concept to me that that's something that I'd really enjoy doing. Anyway,
We're gonna pick that
everybody
apart,
there.
by the way. We're gonna come back and pick that apart because that's fucking
Okay.
class. You never said that in the email.
No, no, it's because it's just literally happened, but, I don't know
Okay.
how much I don't actually know loads about it, it's just I actually, funnily enough, got a call from a ex-tutor at ACM who I had, like, 2 lectures with at some point about music theory. He didn't
Uh-huh.
remember me at all, I only vaguely remembered him,
Yeah.
but he called me because the guy who runs the music school I work at on Wednesdays, knows him, and he called him, and he recommended me. All of us ACM people. And then I went to this shoot, and turns out everybody went to ACM, every single one of them. And not only that, another huge benefit was that like 4/5 of the band were women, which is I don't
Oh,
think ever happened to me.
no.
Apart from one function gig where it was an all-female band on purpose, it was like, oh my god, that was
Yeah.
amazing. And we all instantly got on like a house on fire. I think because we just had so much in common,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just the vibes were on point. It was great.
Amazing. That's so cool. I think I completely talked the two of us out of whatever your point was there a second ago.
Uh, I can't remember what about the
You
video
you
shoot.
you'd said about the video shoot, yeah,
Mhm.
that you were going
Um,
to be doing.
so it's not. I have only a vague. I don't know where it's going to end up. It's meant to go as a syllabus into schools to teach children music.
Wow.
And the bits I was involved in was the band shoot, which is basically we went through a bunch of specifically written stylistic songs, so about 8 of them, so like
Yeah.
disco, Motown, all that stuff to
Yeah, yeah.
familiarize kids with the styles, but also to show we were actually miming for this, so we were actually showing more so it's about the performing and making them enthusiastic about it, which I loved. That was awesome. It was great.
Class.
But they also brought me back to do, some I explain rhythm games and stuff like that. And I don't think Pete knew what I do in depth. So when I was talking on camera, I think they were kind of a bit shocked that it was kind of just happening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and it was really nice for me because it was very reassuring. It's kind of a full circle moment because not only am I in a room full of ACM people who I would have loved to have known when I was
Mm.
at ACM? But also at ACM, I did a very short interview, um, basically being asked about the diploma course and helping to promote it. And
Yeah.
I was terrified, like on camera, just absolutely like rigid,
Yeah.
awful, dreadful. And so to have come full circle and to do that and feel it's completely natural, basically, to talk in front of camera and do what I do is
Yeah.
just amazing, an amazing feeling. And it was really just a lot of fun to do because of the people and the contact as well, being able to make contact. It was a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Oh, good stuff. That's great. That's something I've never heard of. That's something that I think is so missing in music education, in schools.
Hmm.
Like in
Hmm.
my local area. Now, I'm not putting anybody down or saying I'm this, that, or anything, but
Hmm.
I've had so many students come to me for lessons saying that they're also getting lessons in school, but that the lessons
Hmm.
in school are
Shocking.
You said it, not me.
Yeah.
But,
They are.
and I just don't get it. I just
Mhm.
don't understand
I think I
how.
do. I do because for a little while, I had a debate at the beginning. I think the kind of end of last year, beginning of this year,
Love a debate.
whether I become an actual music teacher in a school, at my old
Mm.
school, actually, my old secondary school,
Yeah.
or do this full time and really just go for it and commit.
Mm.
And it did actually throw me through a loop. Now I'm here. I'm like, why did that throw me through a loop? But um, like, there's no question as to what I should be doing. But
Yeah.
at the time, because it is a really rewarding feeling, and it did feel kind of meant to be somehow. But
Yeah.
I just ended up doing some cover teaching for my actually the head of music department of my old school was a student teacher when I was there doing my GCSE, so we knew each other anyway.
Yeah.
And she just basically asked for help because
Yeah.
they didn't have enough teachers, funding, just the
Alright.
amount of issues that are not the fault of the music teacher. I mean, it's never the fault really, unless you've got
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
one-to-one teacher that's useless. But like in terms of public school education music, there's it's just that they have a certain amount of freedom, but they've only got an hour to do it, and the amount of kids who are
Yeah.
actually enthusiastic about music,
Mm.
very few. Very, very few.
Yeah.
I was sat there teaching ukulele. I wanted that was rough.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean that sealed the deal for it for me. But yeah, it's not usually their fault, usually. And I'm sure any music teachers who are listening right now understand it's the bureaucracy and the having to deal
Yeah.
with higher powers and stuff like that and reach targets and blah, 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 blah. And it's
Yeah.
quite hard to really incite that joy of music
Yeah.
into kids while you're stressing about them not reaching certain things.
Well, it's good to know that you're involved in doing something to change all that and actually wanting to encourage kids to, like, get to the point of what playing music is. You don't play music because your man and dad send you to piano lessons. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You play music because it's fucking class.
Yeah.
That's
I could not have put it better myself.
yeah.
I think
So
what's
any
really
kids out there
cool
listening.
yeah, what's really cool about these videos is that it's Pete specifically has been doing educational music stuff for God knows how long.
Yeah.
But he wanted to move into younger kids. So this is for like 6 to 7 year olds.
Mm.
And so that I found really interesting because if you can get it
Yeah,
that
if you can get
early,
them then. Yeah.
because that was actually I actually now think about it, I was in about year 4, 5 or 6, and we had a rock band at school.
Yeah.
And we did like battle of the bands and stuff like that. That was another whole thing that was like, I need to do this.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God. Because I used to literally sit there just waiting for it to happen kind of thing. Because I was just like,
Yeah.
I'd rather do literally anything else. Like that's the thing. I want to
Yeah.
do that. Um, so to do that at primary school and get that skill level in is hugely important. But now I'm saying that, you also have the flip end of the spectrum, which is I don't know if they're still doing this, but in year, I think 3 in primary schools, you get given an instrument to learn, right? It's
Okay,
in a
yeah.
similar kind of program thing. I don't think you get to take it away, but you like, for us, it was trumpet and brass instruments. And let me tell you now, I have this vivid memory of so we're all 7 years old with these trumpets,
Yeah.
and we had to play hot cross buns.
Okay.
So we were all on the stage, parents all in front of us, that kind of jazz. And I just distinctly remember watching the parents of about 60 kids trying to hold in laughter so hard. Because can you imagine the absolute
Uh,
shambles?
yeah,
7 year
yeah.
olds playing hot cross buns on a trumpet is going to
My
sound like
Jesus.
just
Yeah.
shocking. So you get those two sides of this, but sometimes it's just not meant to be for a lot of kids. Getting them on mass like that, unless you're really
Yeah.
like yelling some tunes at assembly, like I think that's
Yeah.
hugely beneficial too. But like being able to inspire those little kids. And again, I have another memory from primary school now I think about it. There was
Go on.
this one time they actually brought in a band to play, and I still remember sitting on the floor and feeling the vibration from the kick drum and the bass drum
Yeah.
in my chest. And I
Yeah.
was just like full on sparkles in my eyes, like, oh my God, yes,
Class.
this. So it's kind of in lighting that up in
Yeah.
young kids, especially at that age when they're so sensitive to it, I think is really exciting. So hopefully that's what happened. Fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
hopefully. I hope so, yeah. Just trumpets. I find it hard to get kids to hold a drumstick correctly. Never mind fucking like a trumpet, like, or a guitar pick.
I don't know,
Or
man.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. Give them
Yeah.
ukuleles for God's sake.
Give them ukuleles, exactly. Just leave them alone. Just leave them alone. Trumpet. Like that, I'm not throwing shade on any trumpet players. I'd love to be able to play it, but like Christ above, there's a time and a place.
Yeah.
You mentioned there a minute ago there about you came to sort of a crossroads and you had a sort of an internal debate on whether
Mm,
do you grow up and get a real job or do you just stay in your room and talk to your camera all day?
yeah.
And you chose wisely, it seems. How did you manage to amass 400,000 followers? Suppose that's the £1 million question, isn't it? But I'm going to
Oh,
ask.
it's the really boring answer of consistent good content. It's that. It's really dull. That's the dull answer anyway. What actually
That is the
happened
good
was,
answer.
I had to get quite encouraged to do it. And the thing that makes it possible, first of all, is batch recording. If I was not batch recording and posting every day, I might not be sat here right now. It would be
Yeah,
dreadful. So I'm fortunate that I do something that's quite, you can sit in one spot and just do
yeah,
things over
batchable.
and over again. For me, how it worked is I started on TikTok, and originally, because Chris knows quite a fair bit about social media and is really interested in the business, how it all works, the mechanics of it. I'm interested,
Yeah,
but not as interested as him. So he actually did something where he wasn't on social media for years. And then he decided, nope, I'm going to post every single day on Instagram and see what happens and figure things out from there. And what he learned from that, I then kind of got to take on. So not
yeah,
only did I have support, I had someone who kind of knew what they were doing a bit better. And I actually started out not with videos kind of as they are now, obviously, but I wasn't talking, first of all. The first ones were just me, like, they were kind of like duet things. So, guitarist, play with this,
yeah,
or I was just showing stuff silently, or it was like just simple things like that. And it got the ball rolling. But as soon as I started talking,
hmm
it got better. But then there was still something not quite there. And as soon as I just realized, oh, you can actually just be your ridiculous self that you
hmm
normally wouldn't think that that would work. It just
that
went.
was it.
Yeah. So there's only been I'd say there's only been a couple that have gone, and TikTok specifically, that have gone really, really viral. And some of them we don't understand why.
It's
I
great,
don't
isn't
think
it?
anyone fully understands why.
Yeah,
Um, the first one that ever went viral for me was this tiny clip of me playing a fill and I hit something that's like a book or something and I react like "Ugh," kind of thing. And that just went million straight. Just there we go. But now there's a couple. There's one that's like the basic like how to play drums straight out. Just there you go. That I can
yeah,
see why that's done well. But then there was another one that was 5353, which is like a linear choppy pattern, which isn't even technically linear. I realized afterwards because there's no kick drum
yeah,
in it. But anyway, so that I think is now sitting at about 5 million, which is insane that 5
yeah,
million eyeballs, well, about that, have seen that, like
yeah,
crazy. But anyway, so I started on TikTok and I was actually quite anti moving on to Instagram at the same time as doing that. So I was on TikTok for quite a long time building all that up. And then Chris was like, "You should really do Instagram because it just if something happens to TikTok and it just all goes, then you've lost
yeah,
everything." And I was like, you're right." And so eventually we started posting on Instagram, and that obviously built up quite quickly. We actually have two channels on Instagram because I've got my personal one, which I
okay,
end up being a collaborator on all the posts from Love to Learn Drums, which is the other one. But it also means I can still post all my personal stuff. The
yeah,
collaborator feature on Instagram is a godsend, by the way. If you're
yeah.
out there and you're not using that right now, oh my God. You
I
get,
don't know. I don't know about this. What is this?
oh, so basically, Love to Learn Drums post the video of me that I've sent as Chris, basically.
Yeah,
So I've sent them and they just can go, Emma's a collaborator on this. And then I can just go, yes, I agree. I'm a collaborator on my channel. And it's as if I posted it basically. So we both gain stats.
okay,
So everyone who sees it from me, like the collective views and stats. It's much like when it gives you the stats and it's like Instagram and Facebook stats combined, kind of like that, kind of.
Yes. Okay, I've got you now.
Which means half the workload, basically, in terms of
Ah,
uploading, because they can upload it. I just go yes, and that's it. Whereas
cool.
otherwise, I'd have to post it in 2 places, and maybe the algorithm might not like that because it's the same thing over again. And it's like you
Yeah,
just get
yeah, yeah.
2 for 1, basically, and you can put more than one collaborator. So it's one of those things that's just huge in such a simple way. But
Yeah,
so we started on Instagram, and the one that really shocked me was Facebook, because that blew up. That happened not overnight, but like in about a space of a month, we got to 50, 60,000 followers. And I was
wow.
just like, what? What? And I think, and me and Chris theorized about this, because we'd figured out we'd found the ones that were really good,
Yeah,
basically. Out of all the stuff, we were able to fine tune it and really find the ones that did really well. And he posted those first on a clean Facebook thing,
yeah.
and they just straight straight away, just
Class.
successful. And now I think it's sitting. I think it's interesting how it's plateaued as well. Because it's about, I think, 112,000 ish
Right.
right now. I haven't checked actually recently. It's really interesting once you start getting big numbers of people, when the numbers start not mattering as much. That's surreal as well. Um,
Yeah,
but that, I don't know what that says about human psychology, but it's really odd. And I think it's actually because there's not that much has changed about real life, really. Loads of
yeah,
stuff has changed, obviously, and my perspective of myself and where I sit in the world completely different.
yeah,
And self-confidence and blah, 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 all that. But I'm still in the same room,
yeah. I know
sitting
what you mean.
in the same place. And in terms of 400,000 people, what does that even mean? The
Yeah,
only time I've had anything to put me in perspective with that is I actually went to see a Harry Styles concert, and it was at Wembley. And the capacity of Wembley is 90,000. And I Googled it because I was like, you know what? When I was sat there, we had loads of time. So I Googled it. I was like, what's the capacity? And then I looked at my follower account on TikTok, and it was 90,000. And I was like, oh my God.
yeah,
Oh my God. So if that's what 90,000 is like, I mean, obviously you've got a lot of people cross-platform following, and it's so
yeah,
hard to know exactly how many. But if you call it 400,000, that's just crazy numbers,
yeah,
and I don't fully comprehend it. I don't think I ever will. And I mean, what will help potentially is if I start going out into the world and doing more drum events and stuff like that and meeting more people. But
yeah,
right now, the only really notifier is when I go to gigs and stuff. Almost at the moment, almost every time I go to a gig, there's at least one drummer or person who recognizes me, which is balmy and crazy in and of
yeah.
itself. It's still quite surreal, and it hasn't quite. I don't think it'll ever sink in.
No,
Um,
I know what you mean.
but anyway, I've been sidetracked. So, yes, we did Facebook, and now we're trying to figure out YouTube, because it's long form, it feels like a completely different beast, really.
Yeah,
And thumbnails and that kind of the mechanics and the interworkings of all that stuff, which Chris loves.
yeah,
um, we've just kind of been working on that, and we've basically tried to hone the process of filming to be able to repurpose it everywhere as much
yeah,
as we can. So instead of originally, I used to shoot the videos in portrait. Now we shoot them in landscape, so they're ready for YouTube, and then we just crop them in for other ones. And also we use CapCut to edit, because it's just so much easier. For
mm,
me anyway. I used to use DaVinci, but I've now probably, I think, moved over to CapCut.
yeah,
And it means I can just put the project file in a Google Drive, and Sean, who's helping me do the editing, can just take that file, load it into CapCut, and he can edit it, for example. I
yeah.
mean, you can do that anyway, because you can do that depending on your editing software, I realize. But
I know
CapCut's
what you
really
mean. Yeah,
good because it's
yeah,
built for social media, so you can just go,
yeah,
I want this and this effect. Let's do this and this. It's limited, obviously. It's kind of idiot proof in some ways, but
yeah,
it still is perfect. Like all the text editing, the thing that really helps those videos now pop is like it's the text editing, but also the sound effects that you just add in, and they're super quick to do with CapCut.
yeah,
So it's just been about honing in the process, trying to come up with like a filing system that works and like work for everybody. And
yeah,
now we have a huge Google Drive that just holds all this footage. So yeah, we're just working out the best way of doing things now that we're on multiple platforms at the same time.
Yeah.
And without Chris, I would have done none of it
None of it.
because I was already kind of burning myself out on TikTok.
Right.
So I was getting pretty done with it anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how that whole process
How
works.
that happened. Yeah, well, no, it's really interesting because some of the talking points I had for you were specifically about did you start on YouTube or and then repurpose? Because
Mhm.
that seems to be the kind of the
Yeah. Yeah,
accepted way of doing it.
I started on TikTok and I was very anti TikTok before I was actually on it. I
Yeah.
refused to get it as a consumer because I knew
Why?
just
Why has everybody got
how
such a
much
thing with
I know
TikTok,
it's
like?
interesting is that they're so like it's such a absolutely not, especially every single musician who's like, "Oh yeah, I should get into social media." And I know there's going to be a lot of people listening to this who are that person who
Yeah,
are like, "Oh, I don't want to do TikTok and this social media is kind of dumb and don't know what I'm
yeah.
doing." Blah, blah, blah. I didn't know what I was doing, but
No.
yeah. So I started on TikTok, and mainly because it was the fastest growing platform, we decided
So
it just made more sense.
when did you start? Because TikTok is only around like 5 minutes.
20 I think it was halfway through 2021. So it's been
So
yeah, it's happened
18
quite
months.
quick.
Well, 2 years, suppose.
Yeah, it's about 2 years. I need to actually check, but I think it's 2021 if we call it that.
Yeah,
Um, and I started on TikTok. I can't remember when I changed over and started putting stuff on Instagram as well. Um,
yeah,
but it was yeah, that was for a long time just me posting and doing all of it. And what was really hard before we did CapCut was using the in TikTok editor to do the text. And that has caused
oh,
not any issues as such, but it's been a bit of a pain in the ass because in the long run, now we're adding videos to the membership and stuff like that and repurposing those old videos with TikTok branded text.
yeah,
It's raising a question of like, am I going to get done for copyright in certain situations if I do this a certain way?
yeah,
Um, but anyway, so the TikTok editor was a bit of a nightmare because you couldn't do anything really because you're doing it with your thumbs and it's just
yeah,
absolute nightmare. And sometimes it would just delete itself because it felt like it.
yeah,
So it was just every day I'd have to do a video and it just got to me after a while.
yeah,
Um, and I think that was before you could schedule them as well. Or like basically there was a number of reasons we didn't like schedule them and did like use the inbuilt editor because we were like, we don't know if TikTok prefers you to use their inbuilt text thing. And so we were just trying to really cater to that app. But
yeah. Wow,
fortunately,
you really got, like, so
oh
in depth
yeah.
with.
Yeah. It was but that's only because Chris is interested in it. And
Yeah,
I find it fascinating because it's just a huge not a social experiment is the wrong term, but like just seeing how this whole this thing works mechanically and
yeah,
understanding how you can tweak things and make it work better. But now I've kind of wanted to start focusing again on just getting videos out and enjoying that side of it, which is why it's such a blessing to have people to help me do that now.
yeah.
But that's still just friends. Like for
No, sure, no.
example, the person who's doing admin is Alona, who's the singer in the band that I've been in since ACM, for example, and she's
Right.
amazing at it. Um, and it's been actually really nice being able to build that team of people using friends because I know some people will be like, "Watch what you do with friends and business," but like,
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic thing.
Great. Great stuff. Um, yeah. Sorry, you just you I'm still back on the whole, does TikTok like if you use their text editor? You know
Yeah,
what I mean? I'm like,
yeah. I can't. I don't know what because it's always changing as well. We don't bloody
yeah.
know. We don't actually. It's all speculative. We don't know.
Fucking
Like
the
we're
lads in
just
TikTok
stabbing
don't
at the
even
dark.
know. They just make it up as they go along.
Yeah, exactly.
And
It is insane, and it's
that
not
is
good for
like,
your
yeah.
psyche either. If you're too
No,
invested in it, just drive
no,
you
I know.
nuts. But
Yeah,
I always maintain that regardless of what text on it, if the content's good, the content's good. So
exactly. One of my
that
favorite
should always be the main focus.
my favorite video of yours was when you taught someone when you taught people how to spin the stick,
Yeah.
because that's how I can spin a stick. but I can't do it with my left hand,
I
and I
can't do
can't
it with my
actually.
left.
I can't teach anyone how to do it because I have absolutely no idea how to like explain that.
Oh, is that a Pro Mark
Yeah, it is.
Fire
I know it's
thingy? I don't actually. I mean, when I'm playing gigs and stuff, because mine's a 7A, so I can't. They'll break instantly. But for
mine's a
like
five, I
practicing and
think.
stuff, yeah, Alona bought me a pair like for my birthday a couple of years ago. So that's so funny. I love
Oh,
that. Like
geez.
people are watching my videos at the moment and going, "There's sticks as well." It's great. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, no, I noticed them on your snare there behind you that you used the fire
Mhm.
ground because I think I got the fire ground when they first came out because I was like, that's so fucking cool. It just looks class. And have you got the forward weighted ones as well?
I have no idea. You
I
can
think
get
that
forward weight.
yeah, that was what kind of drew me to it. Yeah, forward weighted because it's ever so slightly heavier towards the tip. And I don't know
Mm.
why I prefer that. I now whenever I'm playing, I can actually feel a slight bit of difference.
I have no idea. These are just sick. I'm one of those people actually, like in terms of equipment and sticks and all that kind of fiddly side of things. I don't think I have too huge a preference, and I think that's due to most of my life playing on either shit kits or electric kits.
Yeah.
And so I think that actually, well, a thing I talk about quite a lot is one of the downsides to playing electric kits is the fact that you don't build the knowledge of like tuning, of just that technical preference for what you like and things like that, because you just got presets on the electric
Yeah,
kit.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, so that's actually an area of mine that I'm so like I've got nothing, and which is why I consult people on it. So, for example, I when I bought my drum kit, my acoustic drum kit, which is a Tama Star Classic, and I do love it.
Lovely.
But I bought cymbals for it, and they are Zildjian K Hybrid Customs. I bought a whole
Mhm.
set. It was an expensive day. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it was an
and
expensive.
and so in hindsight, I would have bought darker cymbals because for recording, they're absolutely bloody dreadful because they're so
Oh.
bright, so bright.
Ah.
But also now I've broken one of my crashes, like so bad. It's awful. It looks like someone's just
Oh.
taken a bite out of
Oh
it.
yeah,
But
see that
yeah,
symbol
yep.
there.
Been munched.
It's got a bite out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. See, mine, I got it repaired because there was a huge crack in it, and then it cracked instantly again.
Oh no
So I
way.
think I just need a harder wearing cymbal, or I just need to improve
Yeah.
my technique. But let's go with the buying more stuff to fix the problem one, shall we?
Yes,
I think I prefer that one.
absolutely.
Um,
100%.
but I just don't know what I want because it's quite hard to actually go somewhere and try out cymbals now. Because we
Yeah.
used to have a place called Drum Right here, which is literally down the street. And funny story, again,
Yeah.
I think my playing career has been blessed because when I wasn't there, my parents went to Drum Right. It used to be this tiny shop full of drum stuff, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were buying my first snare drum because before I had a kit of any description or even one of those flat electronic things, they just got me a snare drum to hit because I
Yeah.
needed a drum. And lo and behold, Ian Pace was in the shop
No
at the
way.
same time. So if you don't know who Ian Pace is, it's Deep Purple's
Deep
drummer
Purple.
Ian Pace. But yeah, it was just one of those like, what? No
Imagine.
way. And I also actually now have a signed drum skin because I went to see them in concert a couple of years ago. So it's interesting. I'm not a specifically like I love this drummer specifically or this drummer, but Ian Pace is a hell of a guy to have
Yeah.
in the same place at the same time while buying my snare drum. So it's one of those little things that's just
I
like
love it.
that's mad.
Yeah. You take that.
So yeah. What were we talking about? We're digressing once again. Um
We got onto the subject of gear because
Oh
I was
yeah, I'm the
spinning the stick.
opposite of a gearhead. That might change as I progress,
Yeah,
and I suspect it will,
it
because
will. It definitely will.
I just haven't had the experience with gear to really develop any strong opinions about stuff. I like
Oh, you
drums
will.
that sound good, and also I've been very fortunate again because the snare drum I have, and I only have one snare drum, um, and one set of cymbals and one acoustic drum kit. It's just one of
Yeah.
everything, but it's one of those I bought it off of someone I knew at uni who bought it off of someone else, and it's a brand called Tiki Drums, which is actually a build your own snare drum company, I
Okay.
think. And I'm forever receiving compliments on this thing.
Yeah.
It just sounds so good. Um, but I think I do need to do some more investing into more equipment. I think if I had the space, I definitely would, but I just
Aye.
haven't got it.
Yeah, well, my drum kit is I don't know if you can see it behind me. It's a Traps flat kit, so all of those are flat.
Oh, it's one of them.
Yeah, so
Ah.
it's like a happy medium between an electric kit
Yeah.
and an acoustic kit, and it sounds great. It sounds absolutely great. So it does.
Yeah.
Just some nice cymbals and your way. No, it's not what I would. Ideally, I'd like your Tama Star Classic, whatever it is.
I can tell you now, it's heavy. That's the
Oh
only
yeah,
issue.
yeah.
Heavy. And also, in my infinite wisdom, I bought all the really hard-wearing, heavy hardware.
Yes.
So I went full out. It was great equipment. Is that ideal for a function gig when you're 5'4" and you have a hardware box that weighs, I don't even know how much? It's not. That's the short
No.
answer.
No.
So in hindsight, I would have gone for a much smaller, lighter kit, but I didn't. So we're here now.
There
I
now.
actually,
Well,
yeah, I actually have to, like, I have to ask for help on that one, because if there's no one around, obviously I'll do it. But I've been fortunate enough to be like, it's very rare that I will pull the weak and feeble woman card. This is the only exception, because I'm like,
you
listen,
have it
bro,
there when you need it.
bro, listen.
Yeah.
She says, looking up at this 6-foot bloke, listen. Like,
Listen, this thing is bigger and heavier than me.
Yeah, and the bass drum is so awkward. It's 22 inches. It's fucking huge. They're just,
Yeah.
alas.
I have got a gear recommendation for you that is going to solve all of those problems. It is yet again a Tama kit, and it is
Oh, is
called
it the
Tama Pancakey kit. I can't think of what it's actually called.
Oh, that one. Yeah. I know the, like, little bop jazz, the blue one that you can get.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's not even that. So I've got a student that has, oh my God, right. Podcast break. We need to get the name of this, because this is actual like advice. This is actual advice for people. Tama Pancake Kit, right?
I'm making notes.
It's literally called Club Jam Pancake, right?
Yes,
Grand,
Club
there we
Jam.
go.
Yeah.
Club Jam Pancake, right? So, game on. So Tama make the Club Jam Pancake kit, and I used to gig with a mate of mine who bought one of these, and it sounds huge. It sounds phenomenal, and you can fit, and we did fit all of it into a suitcase. One suitcase that was hardware, cymbals, stool, the whole drum kit. Now,
Unbelievable.
the suitcase lost its wheels after about 2 gigs, and it was bursting at the seams, and it was quite a big suitcase to begin with. However, I will find anybody on this point. We had a whole drum kit in a fucking suitcase, and it sounded class.
How much is it? Did you just Google it?
£343 for, and that gets you the kick, floor tom, snare, and rack tom, and you can get the Tama something hardware pack that all the hardware falls into about a bag of about that size. And it's really light, and it's really like it's good.
Beautiful.
It's good. Well, I've got personal experience with that, and for what it's worth from me, it's good.
Yes.
So your cymbals are going to be the most awkward part. So you can still use your normal size cymbals and stuff. You might need to get one or two. You might need to just adjust what the offering is to suit your thing. But it's a small little 18-inch by, I think it's by 4 or 6 inch deep, so it's not deep at all.
Right, quite literally a pancake. Yeah,
quite literally a pancake. But use the right microphones, and it's going to sound huge.
That's amazing.
There you go.
Yeah, I've been really considering lightweight hardware, because it's actually like a risk to my health to pick that box up.
100%.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Everybody wins in this podcast. Everybody
wins, because that's exactly the kit that I would have in here, only I've got my flat drum kit. And the only other downside to the Tama Pancake one is that it only comes with one rack tom. Now, I don't ever see a need for any more than one rack tom in the world. Anyway, that's my own personal preference.
I'm similar.
But everyone, when they're learning, they need to be able to do the do you know what I mean? So they need to have that kind of happy medium between the floor and the rack tom. So, but anyway, there you go. There's some public service advice. What do they call it in America? A public information
service announcement.
Public service announcement.
PSA.
There you go. PSA. There you go. No boys. All you boys over in America. That's for ye. That's for all of ye. For ye. Yeah. Who's gonna have that? Grand, cool, right? We've totally gotten off topic, and that's been
Of
so
course we
much
have.
fun. Oh, speaking of, right? So you have your feeble woman card that you want to play. Now you said that, not me. So if anyone fucking comes back on me on that, that's not me. I'm
Yeah.
regurgitating.
Let's
You have
let's
that card.
rephrase it. Let's call it the efficiency and well-being card.
Oh,
Let's call it that, shall
now
we?
that's
Feminism.
well done. Oh, class. I love that.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
brilliant. Okay, yes. So you have your efficiency and well-being card in the arse pocket to take out when you need it.
Yes.
But you did mention that one of the things that you do like talking about and like having a laugh at is some of the funny comments that you get from people
Oh, yeah.
online.
Oh, there's we haven't had any like corkers recently, like some, but there have been a couple. And
Okay.
I know I'm talking about how I'm very fortunate, but I'm still very fortunate in regards to comments as well. Obviously, most drummers are still men. That's
Yep.
fine. And obviously most of my audience is men,
Yep.
usually slightly older men who like to
Yep.
comment and tell me how pretty I am, which is, again, you'd think,
Lovely.
it's not always a bad thing, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just when you get the comments that are like this huge string of huge, great compliments, like fantastic player, love the way you educate, da 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 da, and you're fit too. Just that I was gonna like that message, and now I'm like, oh, it's just takes the steam out of it, you know. I don't know. I think that's just a matter of being a woman in general. Of you always get like you want to hear that you're pretty, which is it's kind of one of those. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It's hard to predict. But
Yeah.
one of the you obviously sometimes get the weird and wacky ones, and they usually come by email because they want to make sure you get that stuff.
Oh,
And one
really?
of them was basically, oh, let me think. It was a while ago now, but someone wanted my drum stool after I'd sat on it. That was one of them. And I mean, respect the hustle. You got to ask. If you don't ask, you don't get. But he's not getting. To clarify.
Fucking hell. Right.
And
Okay.
then so that was one of them. And then the other one, it was a long list of stuff, and he was like, I'll do basically whatever you want. I'll cook for you, I'll clean for you, I'll do all of this stuff. You can verbally berate me if you want to. Kind of messy. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, good Lord. Well, I mean, again, ask and you still don't get, but at least you asked. But
Yeah.
yeah, most of the time it's funny to watch it unfold because I don't get hate really. And
Oh, good stuff.
I think that's the nature of what I'm doing. It's not like it's not about how I look, first of all. Like it's not built upon me doing something and looking sexy or whatever. It's just a byproduct. But it is something. um but most of the time, if there's any kind of really just silly criticism or like just dumb hate, men
Yeah.
will, well, other people in the comments will just jump on that shit and just be like, don't be dumb, shut up,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I think I'm quite lucky in that the people who are following me are clearly quite nice people too and sort
Yeah.
out the rubbish that's going on. Also, I don't personally take it on like as a
No, I
thing because
neither
I
you
can
should.
see someone being a tit and I can go, you're being a tit. I
Yeah.
know my worth. It's you're being silly. There was one I remember that really not comments, but in terms of videos I posted that really um divide people and it made it go semi-viral. So it kind of worked in my favor. But I remember I did a video on reggae back when I was just on TikTok. And
Yeah.
it was supposed to be it's a one drop, so just a quarter note one drop. Just simple because I was doing
Yeah.
it as part of a series for the New Drummers Toolkit, which is just the playlist / book that means it just gives you everything you need to know, basically,
Yeah.
from the ground up. But the amount of people who are like, "This isn't reggae," no, what is this? This isn't a one drop. This is a one drop kind of comments.
Yeah.
It's just like so decisive, like divisive, and it just made me laugh really because I was like, "You don't get what this is supposed to be doing." Um,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "You can call it not a one drop if you like, but it has all the elements of a one drop. You can't like it just is a one drop technically."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so that also I found quite interesting, and it did make me more cautious about how I explain things and really get across sometimes that this is for beginner. This is more simple than a real deal thing. But I have actually avoided reggae since then, so I probably should do some like. But I don't really play much reggae. So at the same time, I was getting all these comments and being like, "Do I actually know how to play reggae? Is this amazing?" But I got over it. Let's put it that way. I think I will do some more stuff on reggae, but I need to educate myself a bit more on
Yeah, but
reggae
next
before I do that.
next time you do it, make sure that you like overdo it. So like get the Rasta hat. You could go full blackface if you really wanted to be divisive. Do you know what I
Whoa,
mean?
cultural
You know what I
appropriation.
mean?
We love
Exactly.
that. Let's
Go
go
get yourself.
cancel culture.
Yeah.
Woo. Yeah.
Or what you could do is go and completely flip it on its head and do reggae, but just be still playing white girl with dreads, and
Or
then properly
or
divide the whole thing.
or I could just do it absolutely baked at my noggin. I think that'd be
You
more.
could do.
Is that worse? Is that more racist? I think
I don't know.
culturally, is that
I
worse?
know.
It might
I know.
be. Anyway,
It's
so
such a fine line nowadays
yeah,
between
it's
having the crack and being an absolute full on racist. Like so, I'm like right. I'm always right on that line, for better or worse, or intentionally or otherwise.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
Irish. I'm literally just. I just want everyone to be happy, and for me
Yeah.
to be happy
Mhm.
with everybody.
Yep.
And some people
Mhm.
just don't
Mhm.
take that the way it should be. Do you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
just part of
Yep.
the culture.
Yeah. I think it's usually white people who get more butthurt about it anyway, usually.
Ah, it is. It
Usually, but
is.
who knows? But
Yeah.
so yeah, there's that, and I have kind of steered clear of reggae for not reggae of Latin music in general for quite some time because there are so many nuances to it. It just opens the door wide open to like
Mhm.
big time criticism, being like, you
Yeah.
shouldn't put an accent on this one. It should be here specifically, and it should be like it's just
Yeah.
that's another thing that I don't have the full knowledge of. Like I have the foundational stuff, it will do. You can blag a little bit. And I think that's most of what I teach is like this will get you through. It will
Yes.
sort you out. This will be fine. If you want to go more into it, there is loads of stuff on it. But I think probably as I run out of things to talk about, I'll get more into depth about other topics that I don't know loads about. But
Yeah.
um it just seems like a silly thing to do to jump into topics I don't know lots and lots about.
You'll never run
Um,
out of things to talk about.
there
You'll
are
never,
so
ever,
many,
ever.
so many. As also with the membership, I've had to upload all of my videos. I actually had to rip all of my videos off of TikTok through a converter thing and then reformat them because the way that it rips it off of TikTok is I don't know how to the best way I can put it, it kind of makes it like a dirty MP4 instead of a real one. So like when you tried to upload it to what we use Wix, but it just didn't like it at all. So I had to render them as kind of MP4s, then upload them to the website and tag them and all that stuff. But what it's doing is really highlighting all the areas in which I'm not talking about or like the big missing patches in terms of what I've
Yeah,
talked about.
yeah, yeah.
Because when I think I've covered something, in fact, I've only done like one video on it, for
Ah,
example.
yeah,
So that's why recently I've just done a video on shuffles. I don't think it's out yet, but I've done like a 9-minute video, which is long for me because usually I'm just like, get to the point. But
yeah.
of like all the variations and stuff like that. And I reckon that's going to also, for people who know anything about jazz, they will probably look at that and go, that's not a jazz shuffle. And I thought
Yeah.
that in hindsight, I was like, might be a bit more nuance to that jazz shuffle than I'd put in there. I don't know. It just sounds like a rock shuffle with a
Yeah.
jazz ride pattern. But who knows? Time will tell. It's fine. It'll be
Yeah, but
fine.
look, like your channel is called Sounds Like Emma. If you want to sound like Emma playing jazz, this is what Emma sounds like playing
It's
jazz.
shit.
Yeah, but like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I do always like one of my sort of I'm not that deep of a thinker, but if I was ever self-conscious about anything, is that I have got absolutely zero qualifications in anything whatsoever. So like I'm completely self-taught in all the music instruments that I
Yeah.
play. I done sound engineering for 2 years and I got something out of it. I don't even know what it is. But and when I used to have a few people working for me, and every single one of them was far more qualified than I was. But the way that I got around that was I was just like, right, fair enough. Just because I don't have any of these qualifications or someone didn't show me how to do it, I figured it out for myself, for better or worse. I can also show you how to do that the way that I do it. I can't show you how to do it any other way. And nor can you teach how to do any other way. You're teaching how to sound like Emma. And that's what it says.
I
So
like that thinking. I like your thinking a lot.
there you go. So
Mhm.
you're not. It. Fuck them. Basically, is the long and the short of it. Anyone that's
Pardon.
going out
Yeah.
of their anyone that's going out of their way to make to try and put Emma down or anybody down online. Fuck you. Do you know what I mean? Just that. That's it.
You said it, not me.
Yeah. Well, exactly. There you go. That should be the name of the podcast. I don't know how many times has that been fucking said. Like
At least three. At least
at
three.
least three. At least three. But oh yeah. Well, I just when you were saying there about people emailing you looking for your drum throwing, I've never had that. All I ever get is people
Yeah.
with foreign sounding names
Yeah.
emailing me telling me that my SEO is completely out of whack. I've
Yeah.
had about 10 of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think that,
yeah,
yeah, that's the only difference. Had I been a guy, I think that would be not happening, clearly. And the compliments about looking good would be replaced with something else. But really, I'm like, there's not that much to complain about in regards to that. And I think there's also a lot of comments of, it's usually a certain age bracket of like, I'm so glad your boobs aren't out kind of thing. You're not glammed up and this is nice to see someone who looks normal. I'm like, uh, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
cool. That's good, I guess. Like, I get, actually, no, I see what they're saying because it's like,
yeah,
it's about the information and it's about playing drums.
yes.
Um,
But at the same time, you're not overly happy with your boobs being brought into the
yeah,
conversation at the same time.
well,
There, I've just gone and done
yeah.
it now. Sorry.
No, 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 no. But yeah, I mean, I think I see a lot of the criticism for that other side of doing what people do, but I'm like, more power to them. You do what you want. It's your
Yeah,
body. Do what you like. If it works for you, if it makes you money, if it makes you happy, you're golden. Go on, gal.
absolutely.
Yeah, dude.
100%. I love that. That's been loads of fun. That's been
Mhm.
yeah. I was at the heart when you said that in things I like to talk about with that. I was like, we're gonna get some. We're gonna get some gold out of
There
that.
is
Now
some gold.
that's good fun. But it's good. It's also good in a way that you seem to be avoiding some of like there's one guy I had on recently, Ben Cody. How are you, Ben? If you're listening, he was saying that usually his and why if you don't know who Ben Cody is, Ben is he works for Berkeley College of Music actually in Boston, and he's a
Nice.
huge Van Halen fan, and he plays
Mhm.
loads of just like 80s rock and stuff. And he says that he knows that a video has hit properly once he starts getting the hate comments. Like, and he was
Smart.
like
Yeah.
that's how you know that it's hitting right, because people were like, so
Yeah.
he smiles at the end of every video, same as like what Eddie Van Halen was known for smiling. It's like,
Mhm.
why the fuck are you smiling when like stop trying to be Eddie Van Halen? And he's like fuck them seriously, but like he's like that's how he knows that the
Yeah.
video
You've struck the right
has
thing.
hit.
And
Yeah,
it creates that
yeah,
discord as well, which
yeah,
instantly
yeah.
just makes it spiral
But
upwards.
it's yeah, but it's good to see that you seem to be avoiding an awful lot of that, and all you're getting is just
Yes.
like silliness more than anything
I
else.
I think that's a lot down to just what it is.
Yeah,
It's like if I was giving like information that was just factually so incorrect, then you know what? I might be going more viral. But
yeah. Well, there you go. You should try
um
that. You
yeah,
should
but
try that.
most of the time the videos are trying to help people anyway, so I think that attracts a certain kind of person.
Yeah,
And
then there you go.
you can give me a hate if you want. It won't go very well. I've got
Of
nothing
course
to
I
do with
will.
it, but they'll sort you out in the comments. So
You will absolutely get sorted. You also play in bands, obviously, as you said there at
Mhm.
the start. You,
Yeah.
as well as being a TikTok phenomenon and
Mhm.
sensation, you also do the normal everyday musician stuff, playing in bands.
Yes. Yeah.
What's the crack with that?
So do all the regular stuff, wedding bands kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Recently I've started working for one called 29 Fingers, which is a lot of fun. One of those kind of high energy bands.
Yeah, yeah.
And they have like outfit changes and like costume, like
Oh
for
wow.
we do like Suspicious Minds by Elvis, and they put on a wig that's an Elvis wig. They pretend to be Elvis. And usually if the whole band's like on, they're like, to my left we got Elvis Presley, and to my right we got Elvis Presley, and like we got a whole band of Presleys kind of thing. But what's more funny about it is the fact that they've had the wigs so long that they don't look anything like an Elvis wig. So it's just this black mass on their head. It's
Yeah.
stuff like that. And for Man, I Feel Like a Woman, they have like a huge, all the guys in the band put on huge kissy lips. So it's not their actual lips, it's like huge thing. And they go around in the crowd and like kiss people kiss them and stuff like that. It's amazing. So yeah, that I really enjoy. And I'm glad I found I've realized recently that I've found a lot of things that I just like doing. It's kind of, you could be in a function band that was absolutely dire and you
Yeah,
hated every
yeah,
moment, but this is kind of a really good fit for me because it's just so high energy and it's just a good time and everybody's having a good time. I also work in, or I dep for one called Central Avenue, which is a lot of fun because I get to do all of the kind of disco stuff that I love. I've
yeah.
always disco, even though it's so simple for drums, it's just love it. High energy,
Ah,
very positive stuff. But so that kind of gets that out of my system when that occasionally comes up. And I've done other bits and bobs for different bands. Like I said, I've been in an all-female band, like I think for one gig, and yeah, but that it was good to be in a band of all women, but it was also quite disorganized and chaotic. So it's like, do you want to be part of that just because you're a woman, kind of thing?
yeah, yeah.
It certainly is a fantastic time to be a woman in the industry right now. But so there's that function wise, and I do teaching um, on Wednesdays in person at a place called the School of Drumming in Woking. It's a great place to be, and I really
There you go.
enjoy teaching kids in person. But I
Yeah,
do a fair amount of teaching now online, just at home, which is kind of the preferred method, really. And
absolutely.
so that's the teaching, and then what else? Bands like new. What's the word? What's the word?
Original bands.
Original bands. There we go.
There you go.
So I have been in Alona Mayu. It's a funny spelling. I can give you the spelling after this. We've
Okay.
actually been having a debate recently of like, do we change the name? Because literally no one knows how to pronounce it. But anyway, it's indie rock, and we've been doing, oh God, since about 2019. We've been
All right.
playing and writing music, and we're gonna actually. I think I'm going over to Alona's house to do some tracking. I'm not doing some tracking, but I'm gonna lend them my guitar to do some tracking
Lovely.
for our newest tracks, which is exciting. But we've also got a bunch of videos out on YouTube and stuff like that, which uh, Alona has sunk so much money into because, surprise, surprise, it's an indie band. But it's also given
Yeah.
me fantastic experiences being able to do photo shoots and video shoots and things like that. So I'm very grateful for that whole situation. So that's Alone in Mayu. I also, at the moment, I'm working with an indie pop kind of artist called Bryony Dunn, and we did some recording session in Wales at a place called Studios,
All right.
which was this kind of residential studio thing. We got to stay there for a week and record
Class.
an EP, and it was absolutely fantastic. So good. If you're thinking of doing that kind of thing, I highly recommend it. Those guys are fantastic, and they just keep you in their house, and they feed you eggs from a very local place, and you get to drink
Love
really
it.
good coffee. It's just a vibe. It's great.
That
So
sounds
but
class.
that's nothing to do with Bryony. So,
Fair enough.
yeah, I haven't been working with her very long, but we've got some more gigs coming up, and that's kind of more London based. And yeah, I really enjoy it because there's a bit of a change from all the heavy rock stuff, so it's a bit more groove based, a bit
Yeah.
more vibey. And the last person I've been working with, I did some work with at the beginning of this year, kind of April. I went on tour for the first time, which was an amazing
Woo.
experience all the way up and down the UK. But it was a really good um, tour because it was kind of only weekends. So we got to just
Oh,
kind of just go back and forth instead of this long slog, which
yeah,
would have been
yeah, yeah.
exhausting. We kind of got the best of both worlds. And that was with an American artist called Ariel, who is kind of famous for being buddy buddy with Brian May and has a signature
Oh my God.
guitar with Brian May.
I
So that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. And also being able to play bigger stages because obviously I've been in originals bands, but they're kind of smaller, boxy little venues, not big stages with about 300 cap kind of venues,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
which was yeah, been a lot of fun, lot. And I was very fortunate because we were playing, we were supporting When Rivers Meet, which is a band that's been winning blues awards here, there, and everywhere. But the drummer, um, James, he was just super lovely, and he let me not only use his very nice drum kit, but his cymbals as well,
Oh, that's a
which
thing.
is a commitment. That's
Mm.
trust. That is something else because if you're a drummer or you're not a drummer, that never happened.
No, it
Because
doesn't.
looking at the state of a lot of drummer cymbals, they get smashed the shit out of.
Yep,
And yeah, and I was smashing the shit out of them. And he
as you
was
do.
just kind of he was fine with it. And that blew my brains. It really did. It was lovely. And everyone in the band was lovely. That's actually who I was on tour with Sam, the bass player I mentioned earlier.
Oh yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
a three-piece. So yeah, it was that was a lot of fun.
Class. There we go. Well, Jiz, you are as busy as is possible to be.
Mhm.
And on top of all of that, I think you touched on it, but you've got your membership. What
Mhm.
does your membership look like? What talk to me about that?
Okay, so the membership I wanted to do for a very long time because it annoyed me that I couldn't search my own videos and find things that I would have wanted to learn and specifically find. TikTok especially was bad for this, especially at the
Mm,
beginning because of the titles I gave them. There wasn't like SEO optimized, you know. It was just I gave them stupid titles like blah 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 blah. You know,
yeah,
it had nothing to do with whatever I was talking about.
yeah.
And so I couldn't find anything. And I was like, there's going to be a lot of people who will not benefit, well, who will benefit from being able to find them.
Mm,
So that's kind of how that all started. And up until we released it, the only way I was making money out of any of this was donations. I wasn't getting anything from I never signed up for any of the TikTok, Instagram kind of deals where, you know, you get paid for whatever you get paid for.
mm.
Um, just because I didn't want to risk getting kind of a harder like hand or eye on me. There's more scrutiny potential to get taken
Yeah, I
down and
got
stuff
you.
like that.
Yeah.
And for the amount of money it would have been, it just seemed a little silly.
Yeah.
So I went more down trying to find companies that want to work with me, and I only really work with the ones that I actually want to work with. It's not like they approach me and I'm like, "Yeah, I'll sell your stuff." But,
Yeah.
I'm quite picky when it comes to that. But it was donations, and that's the only way it's been possible, and that's just it's not sustainable, and I wanna make this better. I wanna
Yeah, of
I've
course.
literally just moved into a new room I'm decorating as kind of a studio, using a kit that's been very kindly lent to me by a company, um, so I can start to up the level of production value and stuff like that. And to be able to do that consistently and to be able to have someone that I can actually pay to help me edit and do more content and get more stuff out.
Uh,
It just needs some sustainable income. So
yeah.
a membership was a bit of a no-brainer. And it also means I can just the people who really want to talk to me and kind of get feedback and stuff like that, I can as
Yeah, of
well,
course.
because
Yeah.
I do live streams that are just specifically for silver members. There's 2 tiers, so you've got bronze and silver. But, right now, it's, we're on beta, so we're still ironing a couple things out until about the 20th, it's gonna be on beta, so there's literally 60% off in some cases for forever.
All right.
So you can get 60% off a year annual membership, and you keep that forever. So,
All right, grand. Yeah, yeah.
um but anyway, so you get live streams. There's a group chat thing that means we can actually start to get people kind of working together and helping each other, which is I have a Discord as well, and that's kind of what I wanted to do with that.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of a specific, very niche group of people that really want to be there. That means I can, and also means I can take their suggestions as well. So if they want a video on something, I really want to be able to do what they specifically want, and
Mm.
just get more feedback on stuff that's more direct. And there is a bunch of other stuff. I'm really bad at list. I've been talking about this membership for ages, and
Yeah.
yeah, when it comes to actually listing off what's in there, it's like there's
Drums?
worksheets, yeah, drums and things. Yeah, the video player, which is the huge part where you can actually search the videos, and I'm really happy about it. That's why
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
uploading all the videos. I'm still uploading all the videos because there's so many of them. Um, so I'm hoping to get that done before the 20th and have them all up. And then from then on, I'm going to be able to post the stuff that I'm working on early so people get early access to videos, all that good stuff, and behind the scenes stuff. Because there's a
Yeah, yeah.
lot of stuff that I do that's a bit too long to put on a story, but it's not quite worth putting in an Instagram post, and it's not really
Yeah.
real. And it's just like the people who actually give a shit, it may as well go there.
Hardly one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, feel free to go and check out all that stuff. The link for the website/membership, I think I've given to you.
You definitely
Um,
have, yeah.
and yes, there is a big boy discount until the 20th of this month, August. So check it out. If it's for you, then it's for you. If it's not, peace and love. There's lots of free content for you as well out in the world. So have fun with that.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, I wish you all the best with absolutely everything. You're flat out and as it
Thank you.
should be. You've got loads of talent, you've got loads of Yeah, you're just doing a great job.
Thank
so
you very much.
Keep it up. So before we finish up, we're going to jump into a quick fire round. Always explain this as icebreakers at the end. I really should change the name of this because it's never quick. It's never quick at all. It's
There are
like
never quick answers.
No, but they're never quick at all. And it's like
Quick answers are boring anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then half the problem is me because I'd be like, oh, yes, tell me about that. And it's like, it's not fucking quick at all. So, but as I always say, it's my podcast. I'll do what I want. I'm calling it quick fire, and I might change it to something else. I might give it a different name. I'm going to call it Mary.
Love
and that's
it.
what it is. Yeah. Anyway, so first question. So these are actually brand new quick fire round questions because I realized I've been using the same ones for ages and I've not looked at them at all. I just asked ChatGPT for them.
Oh, I love using ChatGPT. It's saved my beck. I've used it to write contracts, like parts of contracts in legalese. It's amazing. It's amazing.
I got it to write me an Irish song. It's unbelievable. Like
amazing.
It's absolutely unreal. So so we don't know. This could be weird, but
okay, I'm ready.
Let's go. So, question number 1. If your life was a musical, what would be the title and the opening song? That's a fucking great question.
What would the title be? And what would be the opening song?
Start with the title. What would you call the musical of Emma's life?
I think if we go from the perspective, if we're starting from right now, let's call it, because we'll call it Big Love, because I always say that at the end of my videos. And first song is Go Outside and Touch the Grass, because I need to go outside. Like, I'm in my room all the time, like just doing this editing, and I just need to go outside and ground a bit more, I think. So let's go with that.
That's like proper get him to the Greek vibes. It's like stroke the furry wall.
Yeah.
It's called a Jeffrey because no one's afraid of a Jeffrey. Go outside and touch the ground. Okay, great. That's excellent. Okay. If your instrument could talk, what snarky comment do you think it would make about your playing?
Do you really need to use rim shots all the time? All the time? Really? Really? Because they hurt. Stop it.
You call that a one drop. Very good. Okay, I love it. That's brilliant. These are actually all right. Let me see. If your music style was a food dish, what would it be? That's like proper trippy stuff, that is.
Right. I need a food that's got lots of bits in it because I use ghost notes too much.
Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms. I'll take that. Yeah, because it's sweet.
Yeah, or orange juice that still has the bits in it.
Ooh, something like that. I like Lucky Charms. Why not?
All right. Okay. Cool. Good stuff. Right. We're going to do what's this one? What's the most embarrassing? No, that's shite. Oh, here's a good one. If you were a sound effect in a cartoon, what sound would you be?
Oh.
These are all right. Like, do you know?
I don't think it's a cartoon sound effect, but when we were on tour with Ariel, we got obsessed with the those tubes you get when you're a kid and you turn it over, it's like
yeah.
That'll do.
Oh, that's so much fun. That's just it's a fun noise to make and it's a fun noise to hear. So it's just fun all around.
Exactly. More funny because we didn't actually have any. So all we were all sat in a room, including when Rivers meet, just going trying to make it more accurate. It's just
you've nailed it.
Fever dream. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Grant. Let's do one more. This is my favorite question in the whole world. What celebrity would you like to fight?
Fight.
Yeah.
Right.
Fight.
Okay. Are we talking like fight as in you think you could take on, or fight because you dislike them so much, or fight because we need specify a little bit more. Why am I fighting this person?
Why not?
Why not?
So it can be anybody. It can be you could dislike them and want to knock the head off them. You could really admire them and just be like, or you could be like, right, you're a bit puny. Do you know what I mean? Fucking.
As one who doesn't often lean to violence, I will pick somebody. But
go for it.
Fight. God.
I love how much thought people actually put into this one.
Because it's a hard question. You've got the whole world at your fingertips.
You do. And this is like, of all the questions that I talk to people on the podcast, of nearly 50 episodes, this is the question that people think the most hard about. And they really go for it as if fuck, jeez.
You know what? Actually, no. I think I've got it. I think. So if can we go alive or dead?
Absolutely anybody you want.
So if Elvis Presley were alive, right, I think I'd want him to jujitsu, judo, flip me. Because he was a martial artist, dude.
Was he?
Yes. He was like a black belt. He was insane. Have you never seen the pictures of Elvis like in karate gear?
No.
Oh, dude, you got to see that. Yeah, he was literally, he was a like karate master. Insane.
That has turned my whole world upside down. Do it right here.
I
Hang on
just
now.
want
Hang
him
on
to
a
grab
second.
me and go, ho, ho, and just throw me over his shoulder. That's what I want.
Did you ever watch Father Ted? Did you ever watch Father Ted?
Not really, no. I've seen bits.
Okay, right. So for all the Irish people out there, right, that have also just learned that Elvis done martial arts, there was a scene in Father Ted, and it was only a very throwaway comment, where Mrs. Dial, the housekeeper, was talking about the new milkman who was sex on 2 legs, and she was telling Father Ted about him. And she was like, and he also taught Elvis Presley how to play karate. And I was just like, that's just hilarious. You know what I mean? That's just hilarious. But now that I've actually
Fantastic.
found out that Elvis did in fact play
Yeah.
karate.
Play karate.
Yeah, I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was absolutely gas.
Fantastic. Yes.
So wow. Like I said, my whole world has just been turned
Much
as
like
upside
Elvis Presley
down.
would flip you upside down.
You took the words out of my
Yeah.
mouth.
Yeah.
You took the words out of my mouth. Wow. 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 Wow.
The
I
more
just
you
don't.
know.
And listen, and thank you very much for everybody listening to Music Career Show. That is it. We're never doing any other episodes because we've just completed it.
Life is now
That is it.
complete. You don't need any more
life is now-
information.
We don't need any more
You
information.
can drop
That's
your
it.
instruments and go learn karate. That's it.
Elvis
Enjoy.
plays karate. That's it. Good luck, Emma. Before we, Jesus Christ, that is, yeah. I'm gonna go around telling everybody that now. I can't wait for all my students to come in. Did you know that Elvis played karate? Anyway, so Emma, before we let you go, where can people find you online if they're looking to get?
Okay,
Yeah.
if you've been listening to this, you know I'm absolutely everywhere. But sounds like Emma, Emma on TikTok, Instagram. I have my own YouTube channel as well. Sounds like Emma, no underscore. Facebook, you won't find me, but all the other things will be at Love to Learn Drums. So love_to_learn_drums. That one.
All the underscores. Well,
All the
Emma,
underscores.
you've been an absolute hoot. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a hoot, like you say.